and resilience of Altadena's Black community as we track its recovery and reimagine its future. From relief efforts to rebuilding, we're raising up voices, stories, and solutions to build back Black Altadena better and stronger than ever. It's Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr, every Saturday at 10 a.m. beginning Saturday, March 8th, with an encore presentation, Sundays at noon.
James Farr, the man who is the voice for Black Los Angeles.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First Black on Talk Radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted Black and Brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in to First Things First with the Queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First, and my first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from the Most High, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go. We got a big day. I guess every day is a big day. For Above Ground, we got a lot to talk about. It's a wealth building Wednesday, so the way we do things, hour one, we look local, left coast, what's going on around here as we broadcast from Leimert Park, Africatown, USA. Hour two will go national, international, and beyond, but we'll start off the hour tuning into a Black-owned or socially innovative women-owned business as we work to build wealth together or boycott together. And then hour three, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest, a hot topic. I'll be joined today by someone who's got a lot of insight on what's going on internationally. He's a former Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor for the U.S. Department of State, Enrique Roig. Looking forward to that conversation, getting some real information on how what's happening in Washington is really landing in a global sense. And hopefully he'll share some reflections on last night's speech, whatever that was. I don't know. You know what? I was thinking about it, Miles. If I could just get on this mic and say anything, like just make stuff up the way our president does, I would never have to do show prep. Like I wouldn't have to read papers. I wouldn't have to, read books. I could just be like, oh, I have millions and millions of listeners and, and just like whatever I said, then I guess people believe that.
Was he saying there's 100,000 people over 180 years old? One person, 200. Like, what?
Yeah, right. And no, that's not true.
That was crazy.
Yeah. But, if you can just say anything, then life is easy.
Can I be honest, Dominique?
Yes, please.
It put me to sleep. It literally put me to sleep.
Ah, yeah. Well, yeah.
That was like some real life witchcraft we watched. It felt like it literally put me to sleep.
Witchcraft. Oh my goodness.
Spell casting up there.
Yeah. Well, one person who was clearly not under a spell was Congressman. Lord, what is his name? Green, Congressman Green. Oh my goodness, he walked out, and that I can't wait to talk to him because I've interviewed him before, and he's throwback like civil rights with a little bit of Superfly mixed in. So, but yeah, no, for sure, it was like an alternate reality. Oh, we'll talk more about that. I don't know if she wants to talk about it, but we're happy to salute Women's History Month, saluting Black women on this month. She's a life strategist, a success coach, a consultant, an author, a speaker, a multifaceted businesswoman, and an organizer, community organizer who acts as a mentor and resource for young women and girls, among so many other things. She's a columnist with the LA Sentinel. Wendy Gladney, good morning, sister.
Good morning, sister. How you doing, Miss Dominique?
I'm blessed and highly favored. How are you, Queen?
I am wonderful. And you know what? I love having first things first with you in the morning because I love getting up as the day breaks and then getting all the news from you and the information and just being tied to what you share with us on a regular basis. So thank you for having me on your show this morning.
Thanks, Wendy. So that means I can't go the president's route and just make stuff up. Like, you actually want me to keep doing show prep and reading about what's actually going on?
Well, you have to remember, you and I go way back, and you have always prepped. And with that, I always appreciate and honor you because, people don't realize when you're doing work in the community and you're sharing information that people are listening to, it's important to have facts. It's important to tell the truth because you have a following. So that means you have a responsibility, but everybody doesn't have that and understand that. One of the things that was said during last night's, I like you said, I don't even know what to call it. And to be honest with you, I had to go over to Roland Martin and see what they were doing over there at the same time. But one of the things that he said, number 47, was that we need to use common sense. So when he said that, I honed in because I started thinking, when do people take their own advice? When do they take their own advice? And
right.
so, I stayed right there in terms of understanding the importance of common sense. So for those of us that, have that, because like my grandmother used to say, common sense ain't always common. Everybody doesn't have it. And so we have to be able to weigh things and understand what we're hearing and what we're seeing, because oftentimes what we're hearing and what we're seeing is not always the truth, and we have to be able to put it through the right lens. So thank you for being part of that lens. That helps us.
Well, I appreciate you, Wendy. Folks are in the chat, like usual, at KBLA 1580 on YouTube, talking it up, greeting one another, having fellowship and connectivity, which I love because we need as much of that as possible right now.
So true, so true. And I'm so glad that you're honoring Women's History Month and all the wonderful women that have come before us, as well as those that are on the front lines even today. I say thank you to you because we've got a lot of work to still do. And as we know, oftentimes it's the women, it's the mothers, it's the sisters, it's the aunties that are doing the work in the community. And I'm not putting down our brothers because they're out there too, but this is our month. And so I'm just giving, honor and just due to those that are making it happen.
Yeah, it's well said. And if you are part of our KBLA delegation, then you've heard Attorney Areva Martin reading a public service announcement written by yours truly in tribute to the work that Wendy does with Forgiving for Living and really trying to connect people with the incredible stuff you're making happen for young women and girls, which I also think is extra important right now because they're growing up in a time with different kinds of challenges than what you or I or, the generation under us had to deal with or has to deal with.
Yes. Yes, so true. I mean, it's so funny, though, but what goes around comes around. And so where we are now, it may have had a little bit of a different tint, but we're still dealing with so many of the same issues seems like from generation to generation. But with Forgiving for Living, we believe in mentoring young women, giving them life skills, helping them overcome issues of unforgiveness, low self-esteem, whether they've been abused, abandoned, or just feel lost, to make sure that they know that they have a voice, that they matter, and that we're here for them. And as long as that we're here, we're going to be here for them. So if you don't mind, I'll even say we're doing a free youth forum on March 29th called Moving Forward Together, Women Educating and Inspiring Generations. Because right now, more than ever, we have to let them know that they matter, that they have a voice, and that we're going to push them forward.
Yeah, free event. And how will people connect with that? I mean, this is obviously for young women and girls. So, you know, if you're not one of those, then you wouldn't come, right?
Right. Well, it would, correct, for this particular forum. It's for young ladies in high school and college. So basically between 16 and 26. We're not going to get mad if you're 15 or 27, but it's basically 15 to 26. And they can just email me, Wendy@forgivingforliving.org. It's that simple, Wendy@forgivingforliving.org. And just let me know you want to come. And then I'm going to reach back out to you personally and chat with you, because we do have limited space. We're about halfway full. So we still have space, but we only have so many seats that we can give. And we have an amazing roster of women that are coming to share, including an ambassador from Forgiving for Living, who's a current mentee in college, in nursing school, and her story and so forth. So we'll have something for everyone.
And we'll talk about all this a lot more when we continue. But Wendy, are you getting, well, we can answer this when we come forward. Are you getting, this is the question, impact? Are you feeling, or really what I'm asking is, how are these young women receiving this moment in terms of the way women are being framed, women's rights, the way that this particular new administration is messaging to them? I always feel like young people are way more cognizant of what's going on than we think they are. And I'd love to get your thoughts on what you're seeing. We're talking with Wendy Gladney, but you're invited into the conversation always when I'm on the mic. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. Who cares about the Black community in Altadena? We do. On Saturday, March 8th at 10 a.m., it's the premiere of Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr. This new weekly show will explore the deep roots and resilience of Altadena's Black community as we track its recovery and reimagine its future. From relief efforts to rebuilding, we're raising up voices, stories, and solutions to build back Black Altadena better and stronger than ever. It's Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr, every Saturday at 10 a.m. beginning Saturday, March 8th, with an encore presentation, Sundays at noon.
James Farr, the man who is the voice for Black Los Angeles.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your Black.
Diane from Michigan, a disabled senior citizen trying to get by. Henry from Florida, a veteran fighting to make ends meet. Elena from Arizona, a mother struggling to feed her daughter. Hi, I'm Connie Britton, and I support Feeding America because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year, like Diane, Henry, and Elena. Learn more at feedingamerica.org. Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at USO.org today.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like the style, though.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, we're talking with Wendy Gladney for living in her organization, her community-based organization, but she's also a columnist with the LA Sentinel, among many other things, a business coach, lots of things. Some folks call you Coach Wendy. But talk to me about what you're hearing from young women in this environment, particularly from November to now.
Yes. And so, we've been doing this work with the young ladies this is our 26th year. We've been around since 1999. So we've been out in the trenches with the young ladies for quite some time. And, one of the things that we're hearing is number 47 is talking about woke no more. Well, a lot of the young people are saying, well, you've never been awake. You've been asleep for a very long time. And as it relates to their issues and what's going on in their lives. So they feel like they've been dismissed is really kind of how they feel. So they lack trust as it relates to the current leadership. They don't trust. They don't feel safe. So that's why, more importantly, they need community, such as what we provide, all of us that we provide, because they're not sure what is going to happen. And for many of them, what's interesting is you talked about how wise they are. Many of them also help with their grandparents. So when they're hearing what's going on from their perspective, where they're fearful of, will I still have Social Security? Will I still have Medicaid? Will Medicare even be around? There's worries. So sometimes some of the worry may not be exactly for them directly, but indirectly, because if it affects the family, it affects them. It's a trickle-down effect. So they're paying attention, they're listening, but at the same time, they don't trust, and they don't believe that they're part of their agenda. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't even imagine being a teenager right now and having a president that just lies and lies and lies and lies. And then,
having 31 last night.
That's how would we expect young people to trust at this point? So I think it's, again, so important, the work that you're doing. If folks want to, the free seminar you said is March, I didn't write down the date. 29th. They need to email you, Wendy, at Forgiving for a Living, if they have a young person or are a young person between 16, a young woman, 16 and 26. But you can also go on Wendy's website if you want to just make a donation and help you continue, right? What kinds of...
correct. They can go to forgivingforliving.org. But, Dominique, that's why it's so important that we, as elders, because now we're elders, whether we want to call ourselves that or not, we're part of the elders. And with that, it's important that we be people of our word and that we be people of follow through. Are you going to do what you say you're going to do? Because that's what our young people are looking at. And not just young people. That's what people in general are looking at. Are you a person that's going to do what you say you're going to do? Are you going to follow through? Can I depend on you? It's amazing how many people feel like, who can they really depend on? And it's not just a crisis, but just in an everyday life. If you say you're going to do something, and then if you can't do it, then just call and say, I'm sorry, something came up. But lack of communication is not an answer.
Yeah.
So that's what's really important right now, I believe. And I think that those of us who have committed our lives to touching other people in the community, then we have to be careful what we're putting out there, because we are being watched, whether we want to be watched or not, or like it or not. We've chosen We've chosen to do the work that we do. So therefore, there comes a responsibility.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you talk about being watched, whether you like it or not, that's the reality of right now. There's all kinds of, technological things, surveillance tools and whatnot. But also this lack of scruples, this idea that we have a political administration that is not only dedicated to revenge, but also has no morals as far as the lines between using the army, say, on the citizens or using surveillance against citizens without warrants and stuff like that. It can make you really freak out. So for me, I feel like, that's why more and more people are talking about leaving, moving, running away, or just being quiet and trying to fly under the radar. Or you see the media modifying their messages, softening their tone towards Trump and whatnot. And I actually have been advised that perhaps I should consider that. I think it's a little late for that, myself personally.
Well, one of the other things he said last night was they brought back free speech. That was one of his lines.
LOL.
They brought back free speech. And I challenge that because, if anything, they are trying to hush people's voice and trying to, like you said, modify where people are afraid to say what they really want to say.
Yeah, I mean, when you're suing the media and then the media is bowing down and paying millions to avoid your wrath, that is not bringing back free speech. When you're outlawing black studies and ethnic studies, that is not bringing back free speech. But they're like the George Orwell novel, 1984. They say one thing and they're actually the opposite of what it is that they say.
Yes, correct. And that's why we have to continue to put our voices out there, our message, our history, and making sure that it stays there. And I'm very big at that, making sure that our girls understand their history, that and my grandchildren, anybody in my life, that, wait a minute, you come from kings and queens. You come from a proud people. And let me tell you a little bit about who they are and what they've done. And because if they don't see it, sometimes they can't believe it. They have to see it. And we have to promote stories within our own families. Tell your family story. Tell your history. How did you come to California or wherever you live? Where did your people come from? What did they do? What did they have to overcome? Because that'll also give people today strength to go through certain things, because really what's going on now is not new. It's just packaged differently, but it is not new. And the whitening of America is really what's trying to happen, if we're just real, in terms of leadership especially. But that's not new either, and still we rise. And that's why when you were talking about the congressman from Houston, Al Green, he just probably got to a point where he's like, I just can't take it. Where other people were able to hold up little fans and signs, about different things.
Okay.
But,
and hope that the camera comes to them. Do you think more people should have walked out with Congressman Green? That more
Dems
should have?
That's an interesting question because, at the same time, we got to be at the table. Now, we don't have to agree with what's going on, but we have to make sure that we're at the table, that we have a voice, that we're hearing what's going on, that we know what's going on, so we know how to deal with it and how to move forward. If we all walk away, if we all left, then that's probably what they want.
I mean, I have one friend who told me that even though they didn't vote for this administration, they feel like we should listen and give them a chance because maybe it's not all bad. And I did listen.
Well,
it was all bad to me. I couldn't find the silver lining.
There are certain things, depending on what your value system is, that could align with where you say, okay, I can deal with that. But what you have to also look at is overall, is this making us better? Is this better for our country? I mean, we're Americans. We live in America. And is this what's best for us overall? or is it best for a particular person?
And aren't we interconnected?
And that's kind of what's happening.
I mean, I don't look. I don't agree with everything the United States does, but aren't we interconnected with the world too? I mean, we can say we're Americans and what's best for us, but what about what's best for the globe? If anything, we should have learned that through COVID. We can say we're Americans and we're good over here, and we think COVID is far away in Italy, where it really started, Italy and China, and then 2 seconds later it's here and everything's shut down. So I think this, idea that we can sort of just close our borders to polluted air and diseases and stuff is really us in denial.
No, I agree with you. And when I say Americans, I'm just talking about in terms of what we supposedly stand for today. But I'm not talking about where we need to be on an island and forget about our neighbors and our colleagues and those who have been supporters. I'm not talking about that because we are international. We, especially even as a people, are international. So I'm not talking about closing the doors or anything like that. I'm just saying we have to remember, we're not communists, but look what's happening. Look where things are going. So we just have to be mindful. What are our values? What is our mission? What is the Constitution? Where are we with all of that? And give that some thought.
Well, I mean, I got to absorb that. We only have a minute till news, traffic, and sports. But if you talk about the Trump administration, I don't think they're moving towards communism. It feels we're moving towards totalitarianism, like an oligarchy, which is, of course, the rule of the super rich.
I agree with you. But I'm just talking about the relationships that are bonding differently in this administration compared to in the past. So it makes people a little nervous.
A little nervous is a good way of putting it. We typically look, left coast here, and when we come forward, we'll follow up on yesterday's conversation about whether or not the fire chief would get her job back. The city council voted on that, and there's a lot of stuff going on here locally, but all of it right now, Wendy Gladney feels very, very much impacted. Even more than usual by what's going on in Washington. I think one of your latest columns is Trust and Inspire. And how do we do that in these times when people are weaponizing even our crises, both locally and nationally? I'm pretty sure you have some ideas on that. We'll look at that and more when we continue on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump in his address to Congress touted his border crackdown, claiming the lowest illegal border crossings ever. He criticized Joe Biden as the worst president, citing high illegal border crossings during Biden's term. Former LA Fire Chief Kristen Crowley will not be reinstated after the city council upheld her firing. Black Mayor Karen Bass cited her handling of the Palisades fire. Crowley remains with the LAFD in a lower-ranking role. A candlelight vigil for Black HBCU Southern University student Caleb Wilson, who died after an off-campus fraternity ritual, will be held at 5 p.m. on the Isaac Greggs Band Hall lawn today. The case is being investigated as a hazing death. And Delta is expanding Shake Shack cheeseburgers to more flights. First-class passengers on flights over 900 miles from Atlanta, LA, New York, LaGuardia, and Seattle can now order them for lunch or dinner. Shake Shack, along with Delta, continues to support DEI efforts. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Let Express Employment Professionals help you hire for contract or full-time jobs. Forget about recruiting, sifting through resumes, and interviews with unqualified applicants. Go to expresspros.com to find the location near you. That's expresspros.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Another win for the Lakers, another milestone for LeBron. The Lakers extended their winning streak to 7 games after their 136-115 win over New Orleans at Crypto.com. First 7-game winning streak for the Lakers since February 12, 2021. As for LeBron, he became the first NBA player to score a combined 50,000 points in the regular season and playoffs. The 22-year veteran passed the 50,000 mark on his first shot, a three-pointer with 8 minutes left in the first quarter. LeBron finished with 34 points. He now has 41,871 in the regular season and 8,162 in the playoffs. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Put this man in the Hall of Fame right now. The Clippers have lost 3 straight. They had a 19-point lead in Phoenix at the start of the fourth quarter and couldn't hold it. Phoenix fought back to pull out a 119-117 win. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Eaton Canyon fire devastated many black families in Altadena, taking more than just homes. It took memories, legacies, and generational wealth. The heart of a black community is now in jeopardy, but Justice Coalition, led by Gage and King LA Lawyers for the People, are here to help. If you've lost your home, we are standing by to hold insurance companies and utilities accountable for the damage caused. When the community suffers, we all suffer. Together, we can rebuild what was lost. Your recovery starts today. Call 626-429-1259. That's 626-429-1259. Or visit www.eatonfirelawyers.net. Justice Coalition, Gage and King, LA Lawyers for the People. We got you. Call 626-429-1259. Visit www.eatonfirelawyers.net. Again, 626-429-1259. This is attorney advertising. Past results do not guarantee future outcomes. Legal representation is provided by licensed attorneys.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to announce that, like George and Weezy,
We're moving on now.
earlier this year, we were named a semifinalist for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Wait for it. Wait for it.
You ready?
KBLA Talk 1580 was recently selected as one of 10 finalists being considered for this prestigious award. Hundreds of organizations, institutions, and even cities were nominated in the selection process. But KBLA Talk 1580 has made it to the finals. You're invited to watch live on Wednesday, April 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, as Eco America announces the winner and the runner-up, awarding over $200,000 in prize money. To watch live, just go to ecoamerica.org to register and attend the online ceremony. That's ecoamerica.org. Don't miss the presentation of the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025, Wednesday, April 16th, and wish us luck. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black. Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, indeed. So much to cover, Wendy Gladney. So much going on locally, nationally, and internationally. You wrote about trust and inspire, and how that really is supposed to be part of the role of true leadership. I feel like we're in a lot better shape here in California and in the city of Los Angeles, and folks are than we are federally. But it continues to be, here in the city and countywide, we see people piling on our mayor, uninformed people like Khloe Kardashian who don't know jack about politics and never speak on it, and don't even know that Malibu is not part of the mayor's charge, that Altadena is not part of the mayor's charge, even though she's trying to help with that. People giving, Catherine Barger a free pass, even though she's really over Altadena. Why is that? Could it be because she's a Republican? Could it be because she's not a black woman? The governor mostly getting a pass as well. It's very, there's not a lot of trusting and inspiring going on right now. There's a lot of finger pointing and under the bus throwing that's happening, especially towards our mayor, and coming from council members and other lawmakers who have relied on the mayor for support and received it in the past.
Yes. Well, when I wrote the piece last month during Black History Month on Trust and Inspire, part of what inspired me to write it was because of a gentleman named Carl Bolton, who was a leader in the community who we lost recently. And as I was thinking about it, and I started thinking about what his life stood for based on what I knew of him and how he was also perceived. So I was thinking of his character and reputation, because sometimes character and reputation can be different. But he was someone that many people trust and inspire. And when I also thought about that, what it really deals with is if a person has the ability to have empathy and give people hope. So right now, with what we're dealing with in the city of LA and I would say the greater community that's including Altadena and so forth and Pacific Palisades, people are looking for empathy and hope.
Yeah.
As they're trying to rebuild, as they're trying to figure out, as they're trying to understand what's next. What's next for me? Because for many of these people in both of those communities, and although they were not the only communities that were hit, they were the main communities that we talk about. Many of them had been there for generations or had been there for so many years that it was more than just a brick and mortar. It was more than just a house. Although a house is very important. I have lived in mine for a very long time. But it's also about the memories, also the safety net. For when I think of a home, I was thinking about that song now, but when I think of a home with my grandmother, my grandmother was the type that people could you could knock on the door and say, "Hey, Miss Harris, may I have something to eat? Hey, Miss Harris, I'm tired." I mean, she just let all kind of people come in the house. I mean, I'm not even kidding. I'm not making this up. My grandmother also taught at a school, and one day I came home and somebody was in my bedroom, and all of a sudden I had to move my bedroom because this person was older and she needed a bedroom. I mean, my grandmother just brought in people. So I know that's part of how I am the way I am as it relates to, with young ladies, we're forgiving for living and so forth. But the thing about it is she gave people hope. She showed empathy. And there's a difference between empathy and sympathy, because sympathy is we feel sorry for you, but empathy is we embrace you. We're walking with you. We understand. We're going to be right there with you in the fight. And so when it comes to some of the issues that are being faced right now with all of us is people want to know, do you care? There's that saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So that's what is kind of part of dealing with in the midst of all of the other legalities and also political jockeying and all the other stuff going on. At the end of the day, we have to quiet the noise. Let's quiet the noise a little bit. And then let's look at the situation and how do we get through it? How do we get better? How do we stop playing the blame game? Stop trying to throw people under the bus. And how can we uplift and help each other? And then after we get through crises, okay, do we need to do some roundtable conversations and then figure out, from a standpoint of where people should go or how people should be treated. But let's help those that are really hurting right now. And even though that happened in January when the fires broke out, people are still hurting. It's only 60 days.
Yeah, and we got a long way to go. I mean, we have a long way to go. Yeah, well, and trust and inspire, I think, it's not easy. I get it, especially when you're under fire, but A little disappointed. The fire chief, Kristen Crowley, former LA fire chief, tried to get her job back yesterday or whatever she was doing. Some have suggested that she was just trying to position herself better for whatever her lawsuit is or her severance. She did not get that vote of confidence from the LA City Council. I don't know how you expect to get it. She got up there and made a speech basically accusing the mayor of being a liar, even though there are some tangible outcomes that show that what the mayor is saying is actually true, i.e. you did not preposition those fire trucks. She's saying, well, we couldn't, and you did let people go home that could have stayed on. Firefighters, she's saying, well, we didn't have the equipment to keep those people on. Okay, but you did send them home, and there were trucks that were not activated. Those are facts. I don't know how you expect to get in front of the council, basically call the mayor a liar, say that you really were willing to issue an after-incident report, but you didn't do it, though. And then expect to keep your job. That is a mystery to me.
Well, yes, and you have to understand, too, you mentioned something a little bit earlier in that the ripple effect of even what's happening on the federal level is now trickling down in terms of people having fear and people also trying to get rid of certain people just because they're not in alignment with maybe certain things that are happening on a federal level. And what we have to understand, too, is other people on the outside, just like you were also mentioning, they don't know what's totally going on inside a situation in terms of what is best and how to handle it until you're in the trenches. Our mayor is in the trenches, and right now she needs people to hold her up, needs to help her. Let's get through this. Let's do our best. Because like you said, these fires were not even directly within her jurisdiction, but yet, especially
other
from
than
a global...
Palisades. I mean, the Palisades is, to be fair, but yeah.
Yeah. But overall, from a global standpoint, going back to one of your earlier comments, is we are small. I mean, globally, the whole world has seen what's happened here in LA regarding the fires in Eaton and Palisades and so forth. So she's being held responsible on a major level across the board. So she needs help. So right now, really, instead of all of the fighting, there needs to be some coming together of understanding how are we going to deal with those that are hurting? How are we going to help with the healing process? How are we going to help people get to the next level? Because I don't know the statistics, but from what I can see and from what I'm hearing, and I did have a background in real estate for 10 years, 100 years ago, but it's not going to be easy for people to get back and rebuild in those same areas. California is very difficult from a perspective of housing, and especially of having something equivalent. It's not going to be the same. Doesn't mean it can't be good, but it's not going to be the same.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, and I agree with you 100%. Time for healing, time to come together, but that is not what is happening. National press is attacking the mayor. The mayor's getting death threats from Elon Musk and Elon Musk's minions as he talks smack about her on Twitter. Even the president has attacked and disrespected her. Meanwhile, you've got these council members. So the two council members that voted to keep Fire Chief Crowley are Tracy Park, who we know is a Republican. Also, her district is out there covering Palisades, and Monica Rodriguez, who is also low-key a Republican. I mean, and just seems to, be contrary to anything pretty much the mayor does. Some other more conservative council members, though, voted to dismiss the fire chief, partly for, like I said, regardless of whether you believe her testimony and her union showed up for her in chambers. The fact of the matter is that you think it's a good idea to go on CNN, throw the mayor under the bus, and talk about the city budget when the fires are still raging Not only is that insubordination, to me, it means your judgment is questionable. If I'm the chief of fires and my city is burning, then my focus is going to be on fires, not office politics. Period. Full stop.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you on that matter. And, going back to trust and inspire and tying into your theme of wealth building Wednesdays, it's important that leadership continues to go beyond themselves and do what's best for the people that they're serving as it relates to, like you said, there's a time and place for everything. And so for people to trust you and you inspire them in order to feel safe that you've got this, they matter. You've got to understand timing and the place for everything. And that's kind of what you're saying in terms of what happened with the CNN News and what's happening, even what's going on with our mayor, even getting thrown under the bus from a federal perspective. So we have to stand strong with her, and we have to support in any way we can. And again, it doesn't mean anybody's perfect, but are people doing the best that they can do?
Wendy Gladney is my guest, and you're welcome to be my guest every day at 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima, and this is KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
Fatherhood includes being present during pregnancy and beyond, supporting your partner, advocating for your baby, and ensuring a healthy birth. Black fathers play a key role in reducing maternal and infant health disparities, and your involvement starts during pregnancy. Join the free AIM Fatherhood program today and learn how to support your partner, advocate for your baby's health, and connect with other fathers committed to healthier births. Visit blackinfantsandfamilies.org/fatherhood to get started.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. The Live Your Life organization mentors young women, helping them break negative mindsets and see beyond their surroundings. Through career exposure and hands-on training, they're encouraged to think big, stay focused, and make positive choices. Founded by Nikisha Mama Boo Smith, who transformed her life to become a community leader. Live Your Life is changing lives, but they need your help. They're raising funds to keep their new building open and expand their programs. Your donations will support food, clothes, hygiene products, and holiday giveaways. Visit liveyourlife32.com. That's LIVEYOLIFE32.com to help today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
Being joined by Wendy Gladney. You can read her column in the LA Sentinel. You can go to forgivingforliving.org and send some money to her the work she's doing with young women and girls. And if you are a young woman or girl, email her, Wendy, at forgivingforliving.org. Maybe you can get a spot on that March 29th free youth seminar. Wendy Gladney, we've got Molly Bell straight out of Compton on the phone. Good morning, Queen.
Hi, Miss Molly Bell.
Queen of Compton is what they call her, actually. Good morning.
It's Queen of Compton.
Reparations in memory of our ancestors. And how about those Lakers? I'm just kidding. But it was great last night. And Wendy, we go a long way back. Dominique and us,
Yes.
all of us have done so much together. I hurt last night from all that was going on. I didn't know what to say or to do. And so this morning when you came on, it dawned on me that you have been teaching us for the longest that if we want to live, we've got to forgive. Forgiving for living. I mean, how long have you been, Dominique, how long has she been teaching that?
Ever since I met her.
And we
This
know
is our
this.
26th year.
Oh, wow, congratulations. So I'm just saying that I've been praying over Trump, and then one of my favorite scriptures, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. So he's teaching us to forgive. And while you were talking, a scripture came, a voice said to me, there's a ram in the bush. I don't know who that ram is. I don't know what that ram is. But I'm saying to us, we have got to learn to talk to each other in a forgiving voice. We've fought against the police. I remember, Dominique, when Karen Bass was fighting to get, I don't know, some of our listeners may remember those big giant 40-ounce bottles of beer were sold in the gas station. You're going to go drive after you buy a 40-ounce bottle of beer. And they fought, and we got it out. So I'm saying, you keep teaching what you're teaching, Wendy, because we have got to forgive. We don't have to forget. We can still fight, but we have got to forgive, and our voice must echo that. Reparations in memory of our ancestors. Prayer warriors keep fasting and praying, because the struggle, it continues. But always, to God be the glory. Thank you, Dominique. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you. Molly
And,
Bell.
and Queen of Compton, I have to say this, that when people have asked me, how did I come up with that name when we started the organization 26, 27 years ago, it's because I really believe it in my heart that to live the life we are meant to live, it's going to require at some point a level of forgiveness, whether you have to forgive yourself or forgive others. Now, that doesn't mean we don't hold people accountable, but forgiveness is key as it relates to moving forward.
And I mean, we only have a few minutes before the top of the hour, so you're probably not wanting to go all into this. But you yourself are not just saying this on a platitude. I mean, you have forgiven and healed some things that would have crushed most people in their lives.
Yes, I mean, that's the whole piece of this is, and to now even have my family very involved with the organization says a lot too, because basically I come from an environment where I was sexually abused as a child by my father, and I was abandoned by my birth mother. And then my whole life changed over the years, where I had to learn to forgive them as a young adult, because I was actually 16 years old when they thought my father was going to die. And I went to the hospital and I looked at my father and I told him, I said, Daddy, I forgive you for everything you ever did to me. And I hope that you're able to find the Lord and have peace before you die. And my father's life changed. It pivoted. And that's a whole nother story. And then my mother, people used to always tell me that I looked like her, and I didn't even have a photograph of my mother. And I met her when I was 18 years old, when I was in college. I wanted to know who she was, and I found her. And when I found her, found out that my mother's white, my father's African American, and my mother's family ended up basically, they denied her. I mean, they basically just shut the door on her when she had a black child and a black husband, and she was young and she couldn't handle that. And so she walked away when I was 3 years old, and I never met her again till I was grown. And then what happened was when I met my mom, she was married again. She had remarried to a white gentleman who didn't even know I existed. And with that, it would go until I was 30 years old, 12 years of where I would try to write her or just kind of keep in touch with her. And I got a phone call one day, and she told me that her husband had died, left her homeless. She had nowhere to go, and would I help her? And I actually took my mother in, took care of her for the rest of her life, which was 11 years. And so I say all that to say also sometimes we have to be the conduit of forgiveness and healing, because it didn't mean that my life became perfect, because not one time did my mother ever tell me she loved me. She never once said thank you for helping me, nothing. But I also saw how it had a different effect on my children. So we have to learn how to break generational curses sometimes, even sometimes if it's a sacrifice to our own heart. And that's also where empathy comes in, that we've been talking about, and trust, and being able to inspire others that life can be better if you're willing to put in some work, even if it's challenging.
Yeah. So, I mean, I bring it up because it's easy to tell other people to rise above or to forgive when you haven't done it yourself. And you've done work that a lot of people just couldn't get their minds or their spirits around.
And, what's interesting is I've learned that when you've been truly called to something, it's not something that just you deal with once and it's over. It seems to be a continuous challenge in different ways of where, the Lord, like my word this year is called unshakable. And it's you got to stand unshakable even when you have to continue to forgive, because ultimately it's not even just about you. It's about a family. It's about a community that eventually can become a nation or globally, because what people do affects other people. So you never know what your action is doing that can affect a global response to something based on what you're doing, if you're doing it for the right reason from your heart.
Mm. Well, Wendy, we got about a minute here, and I want to let you spend it however you see fit.
First of all, I want to say thank you and just gratitude to you. And then, like the Queen of Compton came on, we've all been together a long time. So thank you for standing strong for us, giving us a voice, giving us an opportunity to share with the community. Because if you didn't, and also I want to thank Tavis for, his show, his station, and opening up the doors and the station's airwaves for those of us in the community to also have a voice. So I just want to say thank you. I'm full of gratitude. And again, if anyone wants to know more about Forgiving for Living, you can go to forgivingforliving.org. And God bless. God bless. Hold on.
Right. And if you want to see Miss Wendy's column, just pick up a copy of the LA Sentinel.
Or the Inland Valley News, both of them.
Yeah. Let me not forget the Inland Valley News, right?
Yes, out in the Inland Empire.
All right, representing the IE where you actually reside. Well, I appreciate the many different ways that you contribute to the community and the constant reminders to go high. Michelle Obama ain't the only one. Wendy Gladney says go high when they go low. Wendy, thanks so much.
Yes. Thank you. And thank you, Queen of Compton, for coming on. It was so good to hear your voice. Thank you.
Absolutely. We've got Wealth Building Wednesday next and your phone calls only on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump in his address to Congress touted his border crackdown, claiming the lowest illegal candlelight vigil for Black HBCU Southern University student Caleb Wilson, who died after an off-campus fraternity ritual, will be held at 5 p.m. on the